Today we're going to start Samachay 65a. 4 lines from the top. Tana Rabbanan. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn. And this course of our learning, we should have the basic English immediately. Should be a panacea. Tana Rabbanan. Start in a brisa. Nisas Larishan v'leya labanim l'sheni v'leya labanim shlishi leitinasi el mishesh labanim. Okay, talking about a woman that isn't capable of having children. Not that it's obvious that she can't have children. It wasn't obvious. She got married to the first husband, and she wasn't giving him children. After 10 years, he divorced her because he wants to have children. So she went and married someone else. She didn't have children from the second husband. So it says the third husband, she shouldn't get married. She shouldn't marry a third husband that needs to have children. She should marry someone that already had children, because obviously she's not giving children. Nisas l'mishein lebanim. What happens if she did marry someone that didn't have children, that did not have children? So the rule is teitze b'lei ksuba. He divorces her, but she doesn't get a ksuba. Now, the first husband, she got a ksuba because it was a nice attempt. But now, question is, why doesn't she get a ksuba? Wouldn't the husband have known already from before?
This is her second or third?
This is her third. Her third marriage, she doesn't get a ksuba. I guess the reason why she doesn't get a ksuba is because we put all the blame on her. In the first marriage, we don't know whose fault it is. So when they get divorced, he gives her a ksuba. We don't know who to blame. Why didn't they have children? Well, both of them could be equal possibilities. In the second marriage, we also don't know who to blame. You know, by the third marriage, we already know whose fault it is. It's obviously because of her that she's not having children, because the first two husbands, she didn't have children either. So if that's the case, then she's the one that's the guilty party here, the one that's the reason for that outcome. And so therefore she doesn't get a ksuba. She got divorced, but she doesn't get any money along with that. Ibaylahu, they have a question. Nisas l'shlishi v'loi hayu lo banim ma'u l'tavua hanach kamai. You see, the first two husbands had paid her a handsome ksuba. Now she gets married the third time. The third time, the third husband does not give her a ksuba. We know it's your fault now. So now the first two husbands show up and they say, Rebbitzin, we want the money back. We now came to the conclusion after what happened with the third husband that it's obvious that it's because of you. Give us the money back. It's a igloi milsa lemafreya. We now know. So can they say that? Mi matzi amri la. Can they tell her igloi milsa the atu de garamta? Can they say that now it's revealed that you're the cause? Aidilma matzis amra lahu hashtu de kachshi. They can say, she can say to them, I just got weak now. I could have had children before, but that was your fault. Why didn't I have children with the third husband? It's because I'm already older. This possibility. It's logical that she can say that. She can say that you have no proof that earlier I couldn't have children. So I get to keep that money, the ksuba. Ibaylu, there's another question. Nisas l'reviyi v'hayu labanim. This is unbelievable. The three husbands, she doesn't have children. The fourth husband, she does have children. Now remember, the third husband didn't give her a ksuba. Why? Because it's obviously her fault. Third time, third husband, no children. It's obviously you're tells the wife, you're the cause of this. Divorces her without a ksuba. She goes, he marries someone else, she has a child. So Mao de Tibayla Shlishi. Now she goes back to the third husband. And says, you see, it wasn't my fault. I had a child from the fourth husband. I want the ksuba. So Amrinan law, we say to her, Shtikusach yafe mediburach. If I were you, I would stay quiet. Do not make that claim. That's what they say. Don't make that claim. You're gonna get yourself into a mess that it's irresolvable. Why? The matzi amala, because the third husband can say to her, you know what, you're right. I never would have divorced you had I known. When he says that, he's mevatel the get. He says the whole get was based on a premise that was mistaken. Therefore, the get is batel. Therefore, you're still my wife. Good morning. Then the fourth husband had children with you. Those children are mamzerim. So don't make that claim that, see, just stay quiet. Don't go back and discuss this. Mara asks, 1 second. A divorce? Yeah, if it's based on a condition. If there's an assumed condition there. That's why we would have to, what we do for a divorce is that we make them say that there is no condition at all. We make them in front of witnesses. But here we're talking about where, I guess in those days they didn't actually make these statements that would circumvent, to make sure that such a thing would never happen. No, there could be a condition in a divorce. I'm divorcing on condition that you go move to Israel. Here's the get. Okay, she moves to Israel, divorce took effect. It can't be a condition that will one day be broken. That's what you're referring to. As long as you always stay in Israel, that would not work. It can't be it has to be a condition that once the stipulation is met, it's divorce. It can't be a long time, once and done, right? Maskefler of Papa. Rav Papa says to this, what are we suggesting to the woman? That she stay quiet. Don't bring up the claim that there's a possibility that the third husband owes the ksuba. Why? Because when you bring up that claim, you're also bringing up a possibility that maybe the divorce wasn't valid. So Rav Papa has a question here. He says, Shaska, what are you telling her to do? You're telling her just to be quiet? Anan mishaskinan. If that is a real issue, so does it go away by no one talking about it? Doesn't go away. The issue is a real issue. Nimtzis get batel b'nam mamzerim. Yeah, it's all make believe that there's no problem there, but that's not true. If the problem is a real problem, then that has to be resolved, regardless of if she goes to court and makes a financial claim that she wants the third ksuba. If it's a halachic issue, then ela amrinan hashtahu debriyasa. We do. The reason why this is not an issue is that we have to say that originally she was not capable of having children for those three husbands. And now all of a sudden, by the fourth husband, she is capable of having children. What happened? Something inside of her got healed. I don't know, I don't know what medical conditions could have been going on. But whatever the case is, she recovered from something and now she was able to have children. So the third husband was right in not giving her the ksuba, because at that time it was clearly her fault. She had three husbands that she didn't have children with. So how'd she have a child with the fourth? Well, the condition, whatever she had, recovered. Yeah.
Fallopian cyst popped.
Oh, yeah, it could be a fallopian cyst. A cyst in the fallopian tubes. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but yeah, something like that. Okay. So we're holding here that if there's an established chazaka that it's her fault, it's her or she's the cause, not a fault. If she's the cause for not having children, so then she doesn't get a ksub. How long is the chazaka? It's 3 times, right? That's what we're saying. Yeah, it's not so simple because Rebbe said that when it came to marriages, the chazaka was 2 times. Remember, Rebbe said if 2 husbands passed away, we said that the halacha was we were going to follow Rebbe when it came to marriages. Over here, we're following 3 times. The answer is that was death. And that's much more serious than the ksuba. When it comes to monetary things, the chazaka is going to take 3 times. When it came to death, the chazaka took 2 times. In other words, even Rebbe would agree, probably. I don't know if even Rebbe would agree, but we definitely don't follow Rebbe. And that we would follow Reb Shimon ben Gamliel that says it takes 3 times to have chazaka. Okay, who amar mina? Vihi amra minei. This sounds like a marriage counselor's office, a therapist. She says, he starts. He says it's her fault, and she says it's his fault. It is. Okay, which one did you referring to? Regarding to the reason why they're not having children. She says, I know it's his fault. We'll see in a second.
It's always the guy's fault.
Oh yeah. Well, does that refer to rule number 1?
Rule number 1. It's all my fault.
Amar Rabami dvarm shebeinai lebeinan namenas. Rabami says whenever there's a dispute between him and her, if it's matters that pertain to between him and her, then she's always believed. With time am I? What is it? Why is it? What's the reason? He kaimala b'yer kachetz, who like kimla b'yer kachetz. Yeah, apparently, in order for her to conceive, the semen has to eject with the force, and he's not able to tell as much as she is able to tell. She's able to tell how it enters her. So if that's the case, so we believe her. So when she says that it's his fault, so we trust her that it's his fault. Okay. Amar Ihu Ezel Insiv Itza V'ivdik Nafshoy. He says, okay, I'll marry someone else and I'll see. This will be a scientific experiment. I'll see, is it me or is it you? Right? If the next woman has children, obviously it's the first wife's fault. Amar Rabami, what's he going to gain? She's saying, question is what she's really saying here. Is she asking for a divorce? What's going on over here? I guess he wanted to divorce her, saying that I'm not having children. You're not providing me with children. She's saying, well, what do you want from me? You can't have children anyway. It's all your fault. That's one possibility of what the story. And we're not getting the background to this. What's the claim in the therapist's office? The other possibility is she says, "This is crazy. I want to have children, and I want to get out of here. I want to." He says, "Well, you can't have children anyway." So, it could be the other way. It could be she wants the divorce. And anyway, whatever the case is, he says, "Let me go marry someone else." Rabami says, "If you're going to marry someone else, you have to divorce her." I'm surprised by this, but apparently, Rabami holds that whenever someone takes a second wife, he has to divorce his first wife. Yeah, I thought this was only Rabbeinu Gershon. I didn't know that there was an opinion like this in the Gemara. Is there any comment there? I didn't check any commentary on this.
There's something it says that Nosa Adam Kama.
Oh, that's going to be the next Gemara. The next one, Rabba says that no, it's not true. But according to Rabami, Jeff, do you have a commentary on that? Okay, that's his opinion.
here should maybe have some basis. It wasn't just-
Right.
Yeah.
Rava says, "Nice Adam Kamanashim Alishli." No. Oh, I know what Rabami is saying. I know, because in Shulchan Aruch it actually says this. If a person wants to marry another wife, he needs permission from his first wife.
Oh, is that right? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's probably what Rabami means. That without her permission, he would have to divorce her if he wants to marry another wife without her permission. Okay.
She's gonna give
That's
him
very
permission
Yeah,
to marry somebody else because he's not fertile. I mean, the problem's with him.
that's what she's claiming.
Yeah.
She's claiming that why you marry someone else? I know the issue. And he's saying, no, I need to check this out. So Rabami is saying you're not going to gain anything because if she doesn't allow for that, then he's going to have to divorce her anyway.
But she could go on, marry somebody else and have children, and he could go and keep trying for the same
Yeah,
results.
if she wanted to get divorced.
Oh.
She's claiming that I guess she's claiming that she doesn't want to be divorced. And there's no point in him divorcing her because he can't have children anyway. Rava Amar Naisiadam Kamanasham Alishte Vahudisle Lemizaininhu. Rava says that no, a person can marry many women as long as he has enough money to support all of them. Yeah. Or Amazon, not Amazon, American Express unlimited credit. Right. This sport. Okay.
But here it's, we do sequential marriage rather than simultaneous.
Right.
So
Right.
if you're
Rava's
wealthy
saying
enough,
that-
you could have 5 wives.
According to Rava.
Yeah.
Apparently, he doesn't have to ask her permission, according to Rava. That's what's going on.
Oh.
Hu Amar Aflis Begoy Eser. Vihi Amra Lay Aflis. I guess the background here is that we're telling him that you didn't have children. You have an obligation to have children. You have to divorce your wife. He says, I don't want to divorce her. I said, but yeah, but I have a halacha. You have to have children. It's been 10 years already. So he says, well, she had a miscarriage. Now, the miscarriage now pushes it off. However, she says, Lo yaflis, I never had a miscarriage.
Oh.
She says, I can't have children. Which means it sounds like she wants out. Rabami, aftazuhi ne'menes. Rabami says we trust her here as well. Dim isa dehipila nafsha ba'akarta le'machsaka. She would never say that she's sterile, that she can't have children, unless it's true. If it's absolutely true, then yeah. But if it wasn't true, she wouldn't just make up that. So therefore, it must be that it's true, and he divorces her. He pila v'chazri pila v'chazri pila. Let's say she has 3 miscarriages. She doesn't have any children. So then, huchzika l'nefalim. He divorces her as well. However, she gets a ksuba. But here she's going to get a ksuba. Yeah. Before we were saying only if there was never any conception after 10 years, then they divorce. Now we have a new concept here, that even if there was a conception, but it doesn't hold, right, because of miscarriage. So he divorces her as well, but she does get a ksuba. Why does she get a ksuba if she can't have children? Because it could be that it's something to do with him. We don't know that it has to do with her. Hu Amar, he says, afila trey, that you miscarried twice. Vihi Amra tlas, she says, no, it was 3 times. Now it sounds like she wants out, right? She's saying, no, it was 3 times. See, we can't have children together. It's already the 3rd miscarriage. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar uvda havi bei midrasha. We had such a case in the Beis Medrash. V'amru, and the Beis Medrash, they said, he mehemna, she's believed. Demisa d'layafla nafshoy b'niful machazka. If it's true, if the reality is that she didn't have so many miscarriages. She's claiming that she had 3. She never would have said that she had more than she had. She doesn't want to look like that she's someone that can't hold the children. So it must be that it's accurate. We trust her. Okay. We have a new Mishnah. Mitzvah al Pir Yevrivya. A man is commanded to have children. Avalaya Isha, but not the woman. And what's the significance of that? The significance is a woman allowed to marry a man that can't have children? Let's say the man, it's known that he can't have children. There's something, whatever, he had some procedure or something that, or where he's sterile for whatever reason, can't have children. Is a young woman that's capable of having children allowed to marry him? So if she's not obligated to have children, so then sure, go marry her. If she is obligated, then she has to look for a husband that's capable of having children. That's her obligation. Follow? Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika Omer, Rabbi Yochanan. So the Tanna Kama holds that only the man is obligated to have children, not the woman. Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika Omer, al shneim u'omer vayevarech Esam Elikim vayirmel lahem Elikim peru. It says to both of them, Esam, God bless them, and says to them, be fruitful and multiply. It's quite a strong proof that the obligation to be fruitful and multiply is to them. It means both husband and wife, both man and woman. Minohani mili. Where does the Tanna Kama know this from? We say in the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Loi mishum Rabbi Lazar bar Shimon. Rabbi Loi says in the name of Rabbi Lazar bar Shimon. That's Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai's son. Amar Kra. Pasuk says that Pru Ravu. After that pasuk, it says Umilu es arts, fill up the earth, v'kivshu, and conquer it. Now he explains in the name of Rabbi Lazar bar Shimon. Ish darke lichvish, vein isha darke lichvish. A man conquers. You see, take a look at what's going on here. Why do you have to fill up the world? To conquer the world. What is conquer? Conquer doesn't necessarily mean to make battle. It means to work the soil, to inhabit, right? But that's the job of a man, not the job of a woman. So obviously, the fact that we're commanded to procreate, to be able to accomplish that is only the job of the man.
Why can't you say a little comment? I don't know what the trouble is. Oryx, and they will fill up the Kipshua and the sun, because we were previously.
Yeah, that's the simple pshat. Yeah. Yeah, it's a drush over here. Because I don't care who's obligated on it. The more sons that you have, the more it's going to be conquered, right? Even if the woman's obligated, doesn't mean that she can't. What, women only have daughters? You know what I'm saying? Like, but women, it takes a man and a woman to have a son, right? So, but whatever the case is, it's a drasha, you know.
So the Chinese policy of one child only, kill any other children that you have, or they end up disappearing. Does that violate this? If this directive is given to all of humanity, not just the Jewish people?
Yeah, that's what it appears, right? Yeah. What's the word? There's a famous author that goes very into population control, an old
Malthus.
Malthus.
What's the job?
Malthus.
Malthusian this and Malthusian that, yes. The idea is that food supply is growing a certain way, but population goes exponentially. And so there'll be famines, therefore you have to really control the population. Right. So it justified any kind of
disasters. And, right. Yeah. Turns out that they had synthetic fertilizers that can take care of that, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The whole food thing was wrong.
Right. Okay. The Gemara says, Adarabba. If you look at this carefully, the pasuk says, "V'chivshu ha," and conquer it. But who's the chivshu? Is the plural. Kivshu ha. They. This they means obviously that it's male and female. Well, Taiti Mashma, that means two. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak v'chiv shah ksiv, and conquer it singular. In other words, there's a kri and a ksiv. It's written without a vav. There are certain letters that take vowels, right? So the letters are not always necessary because with the vowel I can get that sound. I don't need that letter. What do you call those letters? I don't know. Vowel letters, I guess. So the way it's written was without the vowel letter. So that means that I could read it also as a singular. The written form of the word is a singular. And that's telling me that it's referring to one. Why was it written as a singular? I know I don't pronounce it as a singular. I pronounce it as v'chiv shuha, which means the plural. But the fact that it was written as a singular is coming to tell me that it's only on the man. Yeah. Rav Yosef Amar Mehacha. Rav Yosef says from here, Ani kel shakai preyavei. I am God. Be fruitful and multiply. V'leikama pru revu. Pru would be the plural of pray. Pru. It doesn't say that, so obviously it's only a singular. It's only on the man. Pray revei. Bamar Rabbi Loi Mishum Rabbi Lazar Bar Shimon. Kshem shemitzvah aladam leimer davar nishma. Kach mitzvah aladam leimer davar sheina nishma. We have another statement from Rabbi Loi in the name of Rabbi Lazar Bar Shimon. The simple explanation, which that's the only one I know for this Gemara, is that why is this coming in right here? It's because it's the same name. What the same person that said the first thing is saying this, but it's really it's not necessarily connected in content. So what does he say? That if you have to rebuke someone, so it's an obligation to say it, that you should know he's doing something wrong. But that's only if the person is going to listen. It says just like there's an obligation to say it if he's going to listen, there's also an obligation to say it, to not to say it if he's not going to listen.
With the Mishnah, though?
How do you know that?
That's a good question.
What does this have to
Nothing.
do with?
That's what I'm saying. It only has to do with that it's the same Amira Rabbi Loi in the name of Rabbi Lazar Bar Shimon, the Tana, that's saying this. That's why it's coming in here. There's a story with
You might know someone well enough to know whether or not they'll listen.
yeah, sometimes you know,
He knows,
sometimes it's
yeah.
clear, but the professor's asking when it's not clear, what do you do? Yeah, there was a story of this Rebbe that he went to someone's house, the Chassid's house. The Chassid invited him in. They sat down. It was just quiet for like a half hour. Someone just sitting there. Then he got up to leave. He said, "What just happened? What's It was like so uncomfortable." So he said, "Well, I was fulfilling Kshem Sheh, just like there's a mitzvah to say something. If he's going to listen, I wanted to not say it because if you're not going to listen." He says, No, tell me. Okay. Yeah, it was about really someone was going to lose it was a banker. Someone, there was a widow or something that was going to lose the house, and he wanted him. It was a financial request of some sort. Okay. Rababa Amar Chayva.
Did he do it? Did he take?
I don't know the end of the story. Rababa says that it's an obligation that you're not allowed to tell him. But what was the first opinion? It's a mitzvah not to say. It's more than that. This is from Mishlei. Don't rebuke a scoffer because he'll hate you. Rebuke a wise person and he'll love you.
But there's also the idea of not holding a grudge and holding animosity inside.
Right. Here not necessarily we're talking about the holding the grudge. Here we're talking about just someone does something that's not necessarily wrong to you.
Oh,
just they're doing something wrong.
Right, but they resent being interrupted. They resent.
Right.
It's none of your business what you say.
Yeah.
So then they might. So it's better not to be quiet. Saying.
Right. I hear. I used to daven with Rabbi Korf, the old Rabbi Korf. I would hear him telling if someone made a mistake, he would go over to him. It's a short little guy. He goes, I want to make a correction. It's very sweet. The guy, it was like it wasn't like attacking in any way. Okay.
That's good.
Va'amar Rabbi Lai Mishum Rabbi Lazar Bar Shimon. Rabbi Lai says in the name of Rabbi Lazar Bar Shimon, Mutlei Ladam L'shanis B'davar B'dvar L'shanis B'dvar Hashalim. Is that how you read that? Mutlei Ladam L'shanis B'dvar Hashalim. Person can make. How do they put the vowels in? B'dvar Hashalim. Yeah, always it's quoted as Mipnei Darkei Shalom or something. Person can make a change, to make a white lie because of peace. Shenemar Avicha Tzivcha v'Gaimer Kaisem Yosef Anasana v'Gaimer. The brothers after Yosef passed away were afraid that Yosef would treat them differently.
Right.
So they went to him and they said that our father commanded us before that we should go and tell you that, and not to change your behavior towards us. Reb Nassan Aimer mitzvah. It's much more than mutter. It's a mitzvah to do that. It was false. He didn't really say exactly that. Reb Nassan says it's a mitzvah to do this. Hashem tells Shmuel he should go and anoint one of Yishai's sons. He's going to go over there. Everyone's going to see Shmuel's going. What's going on? Shaul's going to hear that there's going to be a new king. He's going to kill him. So Hashem says, well, you bring a sacrifice and make it look like you're just going to do. Hashem is telling him to make it look differently because of peace. He's getting a clear instruction to do this. The Beir Rabbi Yishmael Tana Gadol Hashalom Shafa Kadosh Baruch Hu Shina Bay. Greatest peace that even Hashem changes because of peace. The Mikar Ksiv Adoni Zakan B'Seif Ksiv Ani Zakanti. When Sarah laughed, it says, "How could I have children? My husband is old."
Yeah, right.
So Hashem tells Avram, why did Sarah laugh? She said, how could she have children that she is old? Hashem didn't tell Avram that Sarah had said that the husband's too old.
We never told this before. Which command?
I don't know.
Just remember.
Bab Metzia Daf Pei Zayin. That's what it says on the side. I don't know. We didn't do Bab Metzia together. Okay. Rabbi Yechon ben Breika says, he says that the obligation to have children is on both man and woman. Itmar. We have a statement of Amirayim, Rabbi Yechonon, and Rabbi Shua ben Levi. It's a machlekes between Rabbi Yechonon and Rabbi Shua ben Levi. This is early Amirayim. One of them said, a woman is obligated to have children. One says, halacha is not like. Well, the Gemara says, let it be settled that Rabbi Yechonon is the one that says that's not halacha. I would assume, without knowing clearly, but I would assume that if there's a machlekes Rabbi Yechonon and Shua ben Levi, the halacha is like Rabbi Yechonon. I'm guessing there, but that's probably what the Gemara wants to do. The Yosef Rabavo become Shmei Rabbi Yechonon halacha. Since Rabavo was sitting, and he said, in the name of Rabbi Yechonon, that the halacha is like Rabbi Yechonon ben Breika, Vajinu Rabami v'Rabasi lapayo. Rabami and Rabasi turned around. That means that they didn't accept it. On the Hasidic tales, on the Rabbi Zevin's book, there's a picture, like these people talking. One of them is like, it's going like
It's on the front cover, no?
on the front cover.
Yeah.
So that's the how I'm imagining Rabami v'Rabasi. They turn around, they're going like this. And
Yeah.
oh no, that's not true. So the fact that Rabami and Rabasi reject the statement from Avavo that the halacha is like Rabbi Yechonon means that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yechonon is the one that said it's not the halacha. If we paskin like Rabbi Yechonon ben Breika, which Rabbi Yechonon ben Breika said in the Mishnah that a woman is obligated to have children just like a man. Okay, Amri, there are those that say the Reb Chia bar Abba Amar, that it was really Reb Chia bar Abba that said it. Vajuna Rabami v'Ravasi lapayo, and Rabami and Rasi turned around. Amar Rav Papa says, Bishlam l'man damar Rabavo Amra mishum covered beikesa loyamar levelei midi. Why didn't they right away say something? Why did they just turn around? So if it's Rabavo, then Rabavo had connections to the Caesar, to the house of the Caesar. They could not argue with him. It was dangerous, or maybe a certain respect. Why didn't they just say it's not correct? Why they have to just turn around? My Havi Allah. So what's the conclusion here? Tashema. The Amar Rabacha bar Chanina, Amar Rabavo, Amar Rabasi, Uvda havi kamed Rabbi Yochanan miknishta the Kisri, Amar Yitzivit and Ksuba. The Uvda havi, there was a story. And the story went like this. A woman wanted to get divorced. She said, I want to have children. And that was a good claim. Why is that a good claim that she wants to have children? Because she's commanded to have children. So she's saying her husband isn't giving her children. She wants to marry someone else. If that's a good claim, that must be that the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka, that she's commanded as well to have children. And he has to give a ksuba, or he has to pay for it. If it would enter your mind to say that she's not commanded to have children, ksuba maya virita, why does she get a ksuba if she doesn't have a real right? She would only get a ksuba if she has a right to that claim. The Gemara says, Dilma biba machmastaina. How do you know that she came with a religious claim? Maybe she came with a financial claim. So it's like the fellow that came to Rabami, Amrale, she said to him, Havli ksuba, give me the ksuba. Amrala zil, mifkadas. He said, get out of here. You're not commanded to have children. You don't get a ksuba. You have your own mishagas that you want children. There's no mitzvah for that. Amrale, misebu dila, maitehevi Allah dahachitza. In her old age, what's going to be with this woman? That means, who's going to take care of me? The husband's going to pass away, leave an old woman, and there's no children. So she wasn't coming from she wasn't coming from a mitzvah claim. She was coming from a financial claim. And for that, that's a real claim. There's no proof that that was the halacha, that she's obligated to have children. Amar kihav hade kafina. No, that's a case where we have to force the husband to divorce her. She could have children. Hahidas kami de Rav Nachman. There was a woman that came to Rav Nachman. Amar la, she wanted a divorce. Amar la, lay mifkadas. He told her, you're not commanded to have children. Amar la, so she said, lay be'inahach itza chutra liyada umar lekura. Doesn't this woman need a cane and a hoe or a shovel to be buried? Meaning that I'm going to need some support in my old age, so I need children. Amr kihai vadikafina. No, that's a good claim. Yehuda v'chizki yatumim hayo. These are Reb Chia's children. We had this in Nida. We had a case in Nida where there was a pregnancy of twins, and they were born 3 months apart. Remember that?
Yeah, I thought it was really strange.
So, remember that joke? Remember the joke? The woman didn't want to have children. She said, they're so disrespectful kids today. I'm not having children. So Doc said, oh, don't worry, we have a pill for that. So just during pregnancy, take the pill. So the whole pregnancy, she's towards the end of the pregnancy, she gets nervous. She starts to take 2 pills, 3 pills, 4. Anyway, she doesn't give birth. She gets older. She's 30, 40, 50. So she never gave birth. Anyway, she's 90 years old. She passed away. The doctor said, we have to check what happened here. This is like, anyway, they open her up to hear inside. You first. No, you first. Okay. So, okay. So Yehuda v'Chizkiya tumim hayu. They're twins. Echen nigmra tzarasai l'seif tisha. Echen nigmra tzarasai l'tchila shiva. One of them was complete, was mature, ready to full term after 9 months, and one was after 7 months, at the beginning of 7 months. Okay, what's the issue? Well, Yehudis is the name of Reb Chia's wife. Debisu de Reb Chia, Havalit Tsar Leda. She had a terrible pain of either pregnancy or birth. Shanai Mana Basilakame de Reb Chia. This is great. She puts on a costume and she goes in front of Reb Chia. This is her husband. So Amra, she says, "It's a mefakta period. Is a woman obligated to to be fruitful and multiply? Amar lo loi. He said no.
Whoa.
So Azla Ashti Sama de Karta, so she went and she drank a potion that made her sterile. She didn't want to have any more children. She had such terrible pain. The Seifi Gloi Milsa, then it became revealed who it was. Or what she did, I guess. So Amar Allah, you said to her, Eichu, if only Yaldas Lichada Kresa Achirta, just one more stomach. It would have had one more set of twins, would have been great. So the Amar Mar, because the master said, Yehuda v'Chizkiya Achi, Yehuda and Chizkiya are brothers, Pazi and Tavi Achvasa. He had two sets of twins, the Pazi and Tavi. Yeah. Okay. The Gemara says, they're not, women are not obligated in Pru Revuv. We know this Gemara, that if there's a slave that has two masters, they're owned in slave owned in partnership, and one of them released the slave, that means it's half and half. So if it's a male slave, we know the halacha that it was machlekes hill and shammai, whatever, but it turns out that what needs to be done is the master needs to release the other half of the slave so that the slave could get married. Why? Because the world was created l'sheves yitzara, and since this fellow can't get married, so what's the point of this being created? Okay, we have another statement of a woman that's also a half slave, and it says over there that you have to release her. Why? Because l'sheves yitzara, she has to fulfill Pru Revu. Obviously, women are obligated in Pru Revu. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak minig hefker naga, but that's not the story. That's not the story. The story was, there was one more detail that we missed out. This woman realized that she would never be able to get married. So she said, I'm never going to be able to get married, so I'm just going to act in a wild, she'll never have a normal life. So she just had a minig hefker. She made herself just promiscuous behavior. So for that, they released her as a slave, which is a prohibition. You're not allowed to release a slave for no reason. They're supposed to work for you forever, unless there's, of course, a compelling mitzvah that has to be. Well, the mitzvah over here was not Pru Revu. The mitzvah over here was the minig hefker, that she was, misbehavior. So that another mitzvah came in, one more variable that switches the proof. They did free her, yeah, but it wasn't for the reason that she's obligated on having children. The reason was a different reason.
So it should be a proper woman.
Right. Okay. Yeah, the term kadesha, which means a prostitute in biblical Hebrew, also means just removed. Kadesh means removed. Chassidus talks about Kadesh being removed, like different. That woman is different. She's not a normal woman. Most women want to have a husband, and that's it. That's why the term, it's a funny word for a prostitute, is kadesha. It sounds almost like holy.
Yeah, sounds it.
It's weird. So, but the explanation is that she is weird. She is different. And kaddish means separated, like away from the normal behavior. Okay. It could be in a good way, it could be in a bad way. Almana l'kayin gadol, grusha v'chalisa l'kayin hedyet. Yechnis lai avdi malug v'avdi tzin barzel, avdi malug layoichle b'tshum, avdi tzin barzel yoichle. Okay, what's happening here is that a kayin is allowed to eat truma. Kayan's whole family is allowed to eat truma. Kayan's wife is allowed to eat truma. So a Kayan's daughter is allowed to eat truma. If a Kayan marries a woman that he's not allowed to marry, so she becomes a halala, she's not allowed to eat truma.
He's a halal also, no?
No, his children become a halal, but he doesn't become a halala. Yeah. The complication in this Mishnah is that he marries a woman that he's not allowed to marry. Okay, she can't eat truma.
Right.
Problem is that she has slaves with her. Now the rule is that the slaves of a Kayan's household also eat truma. So the woman that he's not allowed to marry, which he's married to, but it's just prohibited. What about those slaves? They're her slaves. She brought them into the marriage. Well, there's two types of bringing property into a marriage. One is called Nichse Tzain Barzel,
Steel sheet.
and one is steel sheep, right? Nichse Malug. Nichse Malug. Yeah. The difference is like this. What are the two possibilities? Nichse Tzain Barzel is when she brings into the marriage, he writes in the ksuba that he's taking responsibility for those items, and whatever their value is, if they're divorced, he's going to give it back to her. That value. The principal value. Yeah. There is no profit or loss. It's just the exact value of what it was. Nichse Malug is the opposite. She brings it into the marriage, certain properties or whatever, and the husband is allowed to use them and all of that. But if it increases in price, so she takes that increase when she leaves. If it gets lost, it's her loss. It's not, there's no return of principal. There's no return of principal. Nichse Tzain Barzel, iron sheep, there's return of principal. Yeah, that's it, just principal. Okay. So what's going to be with these slaves?
That egg story where the egg was left, and you just get the egg back,
Uh-huh.
and you get all the chickens.
Yeah, that was a Gemara also somewhere, no?
Some of-
So let's take a look at this. When it comes to Avdei Malug, the slaves that entered in without the return of principal, just her possessions, lo yoichle b'tshuma. They can't eat truma. Why? Because they're her slaves, and she doesn't eat truma. She can't have her slaves eat truma. Avdei Tzain Barzel, let's say it's the iron sheep type, where there's a return of principal. That means the husband takes full responsibility. Then they become the husband. He's a kayan. They can eat truma. Yoichlu. Ve'elo in Avdei Malug. The Gemara is going to explain what we just said. The following are slaves of Malug. I don't know the translation of Malug. Apparently, it's
They have a word in English here. It's called Usufruct. 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 I heard that word before. Do you know?
Usufruct.
It's an old word, right?
Maybe
is
my
that a
father knows.
Barzel? Or is that-
Usufruct.
or is that Mulag? Oh, here they use it for Milag.
Usufruct.
Mulag, yeah, for the where she gets the increase.
USU, RU.
All right.
It's a marriage.
So, yeah, that whatever it is, that's the word for Malug. So, what is Avdei Malug? In Mesu, if the slaves died, Mesula, it's her loss. In Haisiru, if they get an improvement, how would they get improvement? Either they get stronger, have children, or whatever. So then, Haisirula, then it's her improvement. There's only one small thing, one small condition over here that he has to feed them, but nevertheless, but he can't feed them truma because they're still really under her possession. These are the iron sheep ones. In Mesu, if they die, it's his loss. In Maisira, if they become worth more, then it's his gain. Because he takes that responsibility, they're allowed to eat truma. Let's say a regular marriage, a girl marries a kayan. So she comes with her slaves that she had from before. She brings into the marriage. Just like the wife eats, the slaves also eat. No problem. Say the other way. She came from a household of kayanim, marries Yisrael. She brings in to the marriage, to the Yisrael marriage. She brings in slaves. They're not allowed to eat truma because she leaves her father's house. She's going to the Yisrael's house.
So it doesn't matter in that case.
Yeah. Let's do a little bit of the Gemara. Avdi malug layecha b'truma amai.
That was a good one.
That was the Mishnah. Why is this that they don't eat truma? Lehevi kikinyanei. Let it be at least like his possession. Shekana kinyan that he acquired. The Tanya was taught in a brayso. Minayin lakayin shnasa isha v'kana avadim sheich leb'truma. How do you know that if a kayan buys a wife buys slaves that they all eat truma. Shenemar v'kain ki yikne nefesh kinyan kaspai hu yochel bay that they eat. Uminayin leisha shekan savadim va'avadim shekan va'avadim sheichel b'truma. How do you know that if the woman acquires slaves, or slaves that acquire slaves, that they also eat truma? It's a complication of how do slaves acquire slaves. Everything that a slave acquires is automatically belongs to the master. Whatever the case is, even if it's what he acquired that acquires, they also eat truma. Okay. Question is, why don't these slaves eat truma? So the Gemara says, "Kol ha'oichel meichel, kol she'ein oichel eina meichel." Anyone that's able to eat can also feed, but anyone that can't eat can't feed. So this wife, because she can't eat, she also can't feed.
How is it decided which property? Which category?
I think it's decided by the ksuba,
It's decided in the
in the ksuba, what responsibility the husband's taking.
So there's no generality. It's negotiation.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the default is. That's the question. What is the default? Okay, let's leave it over here, Piper. Okay.
Well,
What was it? Which woman that went into the marriage could not eat, and which woman could eat?
A woman